Hello and welcome. My name is Kate from dailytarotgirl.com, and today I'm going to be interviewing Debbie A. Anderson. And I'm so excited to talk about Debbie because Debbie is the creator of the Vibrational Energy Oracle deck, and she's also the creator of the new deck, the Vibrational Earth Children Oracle. And Debbie Anderson has been reading tarot for over 30 years in Canada, the US, the UK, and Australia. And she's also a writer, a healer, and a medium. So welcome to my show, Debbie. I'm super excited to ask you all kinds of fun questions about tarot and oracle reading and creating your own decks.
Well, thank you so much, Kate, for inviting me. I feel very honored, by the way.
Oh, good. Well, I feel honored to talk with you. So, Debbie, I'm really fascinated by people who create their own decks. And so I want to ask you a little bit about that process. But before I get into that, I want to ask you what first drew you to learn about tarot and oracle cards?
Well, sort of going back a little bit from that, when I was younger, like I'm 58 at the moment, so I was in an era where there wasn't as much new age and openness as there is today. And I was also in England at the time. I now live in Canada. But most of my childhood was, well, all my childhood was in England. And so there wasn't that receptiveness to be able to talk about. So I had struggled all the way through with my spirituality and seeing spirit and things like that and shutting it down. Well, in my early, I was about 18 or 19 at the time, and at that point there was a tarot reading class learning how to read the tarot. And at that point, my deck of my dreams, and it still is the Rider-Waite deck. I love working with it, and there are so many other beautiful tarot decks out there, but that one for me was the infinite one I started. My treasure today if I'm working with a tarot deck. And so I went to these classes, and the person that was teaching it was getting us to learn all the different the major and the minor arcana cards. And then it got to a point where we were doing readings for each other within the class. And what I kept on getting told was, that's not right, that card doesn't mean that. Where are you getting this information from? And I sort of went cringing down and said, no, but what I was getting when I read the card. And then after the tutor sort of moved away, the person I was reading for was saying, well, you're spot on. So it was that sort of struggle of being young at that point and going, I want to do this right, I want to do it exactly the way I'm supposed to do it. And realizing that I had the initial learning, and then from there I was tapping into my own intuition,
Right.
spirit side, and learning it that way. But again, sadly, I wasn't in the environment which was saying it's okay to do it that way. Whereas when I teach people today, the first thing I say is, okay, use the guidebook, use it the way it is verbatim. But after that, tap into your heart connection, your soul, and actually get connected that way, because you'll get far greater. You know, I've seen your readings and the way you do it. You know, there's a certain amount we can get from a book and from teaching, but then after that, it's our own intuition, our own spiritual side that allows us to be open to learn that. So.
Yes, yes. Oh, that's wonderful. That was wonderful that despite being in a class where you weren't encouraged to be intuitive, you prevailed and you continued to to tap into your intuition.
I was extremely lucky because my very, very long-term soul sister, Claire, she was in that class too. And I was finding when she was doing the reading, she was getting the same thing. You're not doing it the way the book says. Like, but you're spot on. And so we had this sort of, yay, we're in the same team, so there must be something wrong with both of us, rather than there was something wrong with both of us.
Right.
That's the way we felt at that time. So, but now we're better.
So what do you feel is the best way to use a tarot or an oracle deck? Like, for example, I know some people will just use it for giving readings. Some people like to use the cards for, meditation, things like that. What do you feel is one of the best ways to use a deck of tarot cards?
I think, as you said, it's infinite on how you use a deck. And we can use a deck at different times for different things that we need in our lives. A lot of people use the Vibrational Energy Oracle deck and they pull a card for the day, and that's their focus, which is really great. And I've done that with decks as well. I've pulled a card for the day to be my direction or my guide or my eye-opening, awareness of the. I've also, people have used my deck and I've used other decks for meditation purposes, to actually look at the card ahead of time and then just look at the image and the words that might be on it, and then close my eyes and go into a meditative state and see where that takes me. And also for readings for myself and for others. I must admit now it's harder to get the answers for myself than it is for people, because we put that little no, I don't think so, or oh, I hope so, I hope so. So it's easier to read for somebody else. So,
Right.
I think we can use it for lots of different, both Oracle and Tarot. The one thing I do say to people is, if you haven't used the Tarot deck, and some people get a little bit scared by them because, you've got the Death card, which I think is a fantastic card.
Yes.
Okay, you've got the Tower and you've got the Hanged Man, and people go, oh, and I go, but that means new beginnings, yay, it's all, people like to see all the positive cards, and they don't realize the positiveness in some of what might seem the darker cards. So I always say to people, pick an angel card deck or an oracle deck to start with, to ease yourself into it. It's a bit like, I always say to people, when we were small children, we had the little trainer wheels on our bikes. And then eventually when we felt confident, the parents or we took them off, and then we wobbled around a bit, and then we were okay. And I'm not saying oracle decks are trainers, because a lot of people use oracle decks now very positively in readings that they do for other people. I'm just saying that just be gentle with yourself.
Yes.
Overnight that you're going to be a tarot card reader or an oracle card reader. Read for yourself first. Get the feel of it. Read for friends. Have a fun party. Everybody come around, pull a card, and then each of you, read it, kind of thing.
That's wonderful advice, and I like what you said about kind of using the oracle decks as kind of a way to ease yourself into it. Because when I first started learning tarot, my first two decks were the Rider-Waite deck and then another deck called the Secret Tarot. And I found I was so intrigued by the scarier cards. It didn't really put me off, but it did put me off when I would get those cards in a reading. So
I think
yeah,
there's different decks available to suit all genres, which I think is perfect, because it's a bit like you go into a shopping mall. How many clothes stores are in a shopping mall? Hundreds of them.
yes.
So each one fits a certain person, what their needs are. So, and that's what I think is wonderful about having so many different types of decks from different genres out there, so that we can pick and choose.
Right. Yes, exactly. Yeah. How important do you think it is for the tarot deck that you have, or the oracle deck that you're using? How important is it that that deck resonate with you? Because I hear a lot of people say, like, oh, I haven't found a deck yet that resonates with me.
Yeah. Well, as I say, the very first deck, some people also have this sort of theory that you have to be gifted your first deck.
Right.
You can't go and buy it. I'm sorry, it's all intention. I'm a very grounded kind of person. It's all intention. If you're going out looking for a deck and you see one you like, and I've got to wait for somebody to buy it for me before I can have it, well,
yes, that's crazy.
Do it. I think it has to resonate with you because of ease of using the deck. It's like a subject in school. When it was something we really didn't like, did we do it with ease and comfort? No, we didn't. We did it kicking and screaming with resistance. So if you find a deck that you really like, you're going to more than likely pick it up on a daily basis, or, rather than one you got going, oh, well, I bought it, but it doesn't really work for me.
Right.
But again, you're probably like me, although I downsized, so I got rid of a lot of things. I had lots of different decks that I had, and I would use different ones. And some stores I go into have bookshelves full of the ones in the reader's room where the reader will pull out whichever deck they feel that they resonate to or the person resonates to, because
Right.
that's another factor as well. You know, sometimes you're doing a reading for somebody and some readers actually like the person to choose the deck that they want them to work with. So, you know, again, I think it's intention. Everything in life is about intention. Good, bad, happy or sad, you know, it's, you know,
Yeah.
our intention of with the deck. So
Yes. Yeah, I agree. And it's funny because the Rider-Waite deck, that was my first deck, and I never really resonated with it to start with. And I don't know as I necessarily resonate with it now either, but I found it helpful to learn with that deck. I
yeah,
didn't hate the deck. I just never, I wasn't like super into it. But I found it was still like the best deck to learn with.
yeah. I think because the way they put it together, it resonates with a lot of people with their definition of being able to understand it. And I suppose I'm one of these girls of I don't look at the reverse and you know things like that.
Yes.
When I'm just reading, if somebody puts it reversed, I turn it the other
Yeah.
way around. You know, different people shuffle in different ways, and if I haven't gone through and taken every card and put it back in the right direction again, so I'm not a great believer or I don't integrate into, you know, it's a reverse, so therefore it means something completely different. I look at it and go, you know,
Yeah.
give me the way we shuffle.
Yes, I know.
Had a completely reversed reading, if that's the case, because they pulled them out because somehow they've shuffled them
Yeah.
differently. So, you know, and again, each person, it's your intention. If you want to read the reverse, it's, you know, okay, that's fine. I don't I don't suppose that I don't like to have it into pigeonholes that we have to do things. You know, we've got into so much of a mindset that we don't allow ourselves the freedom to actually go, well, if I'm doing this or I'm doing that, you know, do I have to have all these other bits and pieces that go with it? Do I have to read it in that way? I think tap into your own intuition, your own self, your soul, and get the answers that way.
Yeah, and I
That's just
think, yeah, and I think tarot and oracle cards are like a wonderful, wonderful way to do that. It's an amazing tool. So, um,
yeah, they're absolute.
I have your first oracle deck, the vibrational oracle and or vibrational energy oracle, and which is a wonderful, wonderful oracle deck. I love it.
Thank you.
And your new oracle deck is called the vibrational. I'm going to say it wrong here. Vibrational Earth Children oracle.
On the
So
button.
yes. So can you tell us a little bit about this new deck and what the theme is and kind of what inspired you to create it?
Well, I happen to have a deck open here,
Oh, good.
the children. And the big thing for me was being a grandparent now, you know, I was a mom,
Yeah.
and there were tools there for my son when he was younger. And yes, he did see spirit children. He had his favorite friend, but there wasn't anything that was out there at that point. And still, there's a few angel card decks and things like that. But I wanted children to have a grounded, everyday card or deck that they could use. And a lot of the cards in this particular deck are like fitting in, doing chores, acceptance, inviting others, making friends, bullying, cyber technology, asking questions, you know, all of those kind of things, and giving them a positive affirmation at the end of each card and understanding. So let me just, I'll pick one for instance. Here's this one called Eager Beaver.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's
Eager
lovely.
Beaver. So I'll just read this one as it is. So some tasks and learning activities can seem boring. If we stop and think too long about them, we don't want to do them. The beaver knows that being creative and eager gets the work done. Using your creativity to make a task more interesting. Think of something that inspires you with passion and enthusiasm. When we work hard, it is enjoyable and we feel a sense of accomplishment. Share your eagerness with others to help get the job done. And then the affirmation is vibrational earth children are eager to work, learn, and gain knowledge. So it's a tool that parents can actually use with children. Also for children, because there's a lot of bright in here. There are actual children in
Mhm.
here. They're not just, what do they call them, stock photos. They are actual children that exist.
Yeah.
So it was trying to have everyday, down-to-earth questions that kids want and need the answers to. So it's non-denominational. It's not used like an oracle deck that you or I would use it.
Mhm.
The concept behind it, a parent or a child pulls a card for the day. And the reason, another reason behind it is I was hearing from a lot of adults that use oracle decks and get their daily messages. Kids want to pull a card too.
Mhm.
Also,
Right. Yeah.
it's that engagement of and communication. So by having their own deck, they can pull their card for the day, which becomes a topic for later on. Or if there's a particular subject like cleaning up your bedroom,
Right.
and it's not something that's been done, then mum or dad or grandparent or aunt or uncle can pull the card and go, so what are you doing? And
Sneaky.
integrated. Big part about it was that sadly, we've got all these communication tools, but we don't physically communicate with each other that much.
Mhm.
So it was hopeful to create a tool that children, adults can use to integrate, and teachers as well, that can use it as an educational tool to look at bullying, to look at fitting in, eating correctly. Sometimes we don't achieve our dreams,
Mhm.
not always being first in a race, that kind of thing.
Right.
So it's all of those. There's 52 different cards that cover just about every category.
Mhm.
And I didn't just upon it kind of thing. When I was getting the information from Spirit, who basically downloaded it for me, I gave educators and parents with kids that are 8 years and upward the definitions and the images and said, okay, give me your feedback, your honest, open feedback. And the one thing that parents were giving me their feedback, and the kids were giving a completely different feedback, which made the parents realize how they look at things differently.
Mhm.
So it was absolutely amazing. I feel very blessed to be able to
Yeah.
have the ability to pull people like that on board to be part of my journey. So
That's amazing. It really fascinates me how unique of a concept that is, because I don't think I think there might be a Doreen Virtue deck that's for kids. I can't remember, but other than that, I haven't heard of any
she's
decks
done
like
a
that.
smaller children's one, an angel card deck,
Okay.
which is this is I wanted it to have it in everyday situations
Yes. Yeah.
kids and parents can relate to. There's one in here, not now. Where is it? If I can just find it here quickly, flicking through 52 cards. Of course, it's not going to be the first one that comes out, is it? But it's one called Now, and it's about when parents or adults. Here we are, not now. It's that when parents or adults can't do something, and we've all heard the not now.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And as a parent giving that to children, not now, this is
Yeah.
busy, is to let children know that it's not they're being rejected, it's that adults need their time, and sometimes they are busy.
Mhm.
So just sit and wait or go and do something else
Mhm.
and not take it in a personal way, because kids can be very, very sensitive to that kind of thing.
Right.
So it's trying to get that balance, the understanding that, kids have needs,
Mhm.
adults have needs.
Right.
So trying to understand it from both perspectives. So a lot of adults like that one because they say, yes,
Yeah.
it's a really good, like pull the card out, not now. But the whole idea was to create communication, create the way that you can introduce something into a conversation without it being, and now we've got to have that talk about.
Right, right.
Right.
Yes, yeah. It's kind of
So
more of a mystical way of bringing up those conversation topics. Um,
yeah,
I
there's,
know,
there's all things.
I know that the artist for that deck is Kim Dreyer, and I have one of her decks, which is I think she just has one other deck out, Conscious Spirit deck. Maybe is working on
Yes,
another one. I'm not sure, but I absolutely love her artwork. Her artwork is fantastic. So I was really
yes.
excited to discover that that was the artist that you got to help you create that deck.
And here's how I found her. Divine interruption, I call it, from
Yes.
Spirit. I Googled graphic artists, Oracle and Tarot decks, and hers came up first. on the first page of Google.
Yes.
Now, I've tried doing that since, and she is not, I can't find
Oh,
her.
isn't that funny?
It took over Google, but we won't tell
Yeah.
Google that. Okay?
That's so interesting. Wow. So,
Yeah,
I'm really curious about the process of creating your own deck because you've created two decks now. So what can you
that's
just sort of
right.
walk us through what that process is like? Because I'm sure, originally you get sort of the idea or the inspiration for it, and then what happens after that?
Well, initially with the Vibrational Energy Oracle deck, I was traveling at that point and I kept being told, you're going to create a deck. And I'm sure there's somebody out there that's much more creative and has more experience than I have. You've got the wrong person, go away kind of thing.
Right.
And Spirit like, no. So I got, with me, that it comes with, I get the titles first of the card.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that process is done, which can take, overall, it can take several months for the information to be downloaded, if you like. And then after that, I get the definitions of the cards. And there's always that little bit of, is this going to work? Is this realistic kind of thing? So yeah, there is a little bit of tweaking in there to bring it into a little bit more grounded situation. Like Spirit are pretty good as far as I'm concerned. I'm very lucky. My guides and Spirit helpers are very ground to earth. They say, I keep hearing, we've made life so complicated here. Why are we overcomplicated things? You know,
Right.
I didn't want it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But that seems to be the message. So it's like, keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
So then after that, it's a case of finding the artist.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the case in both decks. I had created my words and then reached out to find the artist. And with both artists, both Heather Brewster for the first deck and with Kim Dreyer for the children's deck, it was, what did I have envisioned for the deck to look like? And I had no idea. Spirit, basically, it's about like build it and they will come kind of thing. So with Heather, I know I gave her the definitions and sort of said like 2 or 3 or 1, and then just, see what it, how it resonates with you. And, she got it. I didn't, as soon as I saw the imagery for the first cards, I'm like, just do it, hon. I got no input here whatsoever. And artists are very, it's conceptual, and the way they pull it in it's different to the way I do it. But so they're very sensitive, and it's like for my work, when I put all the effort into it, somebody'd come along and say, oh, I don't like that, or change that, or do that. I'm going,
Yeah, right.
For me, it was very much wanting to find the balance of things, and both Kim and Heather got that. And it was just like, they were the perfect artists for the deck, for each of the decks that they created. So
that's really interesting. So you got the concept for the card, like the words and the general idea of it, and then you just told the artist that and said, fill your boots, go nuts, create how you see that. Okay, that's awesome. I wasn't sure if you first got like the image of the picture that you wanted and then relayed that to them, or how that works. So that's interesting.
No, with Kim, especially when we were working, she said what she would like to introduce to it is real children, not graphic images of children and stuff like that. And I said, oh, that's great. And she said, so what do you think? And I'm going, okay, let me sleep on it. I have to do, and I always do sleep on it because Spirit come up with these amazing thoughts. And then Spirit said, reach out within all your people that have purchased the deck, your retailers, your distributors and everything, and get people to submit photos of their kids.
Okay, yep.
And that's what we did.
Yeah.
Obviously, release forms signed, and protecting the child, because that was very important to me as being a parent and a grandparent.
Yes.
To ensure the safety of that child being involved in it. So, all these are real children.
And that must have been so fun for those kids to be able to have their picture on an oracle deck.
Yeah, so that was cool as well. Yeah, very much so. And that for me was great because, you know, with the input from the children and parents and educators, the kids being part of it, it just felt so real, so perfect.
Hmm. That's lovely.
And so it was really, really good.
Hmm.
I was so say, I
Hmm.
feel so blessed. Spirit give me the information, and I go, can we really do that?
Hmm.
And then I have to trust in that it will.
Yes,
So
yeah, yeah.
it was fun.
So, what advice do you have for people who are watching this right now who are interested in creating their own decks, whether or not
Mm.
they want to do their own artwork or whether they want to get a, hire another artist to do the artwork? What advice would you have for someone who wants to create their own deck?
First question I would ask, and I do because people do come up to me quite a lot and say, oh, I want to self-publish my deck, or
Mhm.
I've got this idea for creating a deck. And the first thing I say to people is, what is going to be your commitment to marketing and selling this deck?
Mhm.
And if there's any hesitation or doubt, or then I say, walk away from it. Do
Mhm.
not do it, because there is a lot of blood, sweat, tears, and finance that goes into self-publishing.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm not doing virtue.
Mhm.
I don't have the backing of Hay House Publishing. It does all this for me.
Mhm.
So I am the marketer, the seller, the printing person, the putting it together, the distributor out to retail. I do it all.
Mhm. Yes.
Okay. So all I'm saying is, you know, if you're creating something, it's not only your blood, sweat, and tears, it's your own finances. When I did the vibrational energy oracle deck, you know, there was a big part of me when I found out the cost of printing this and getting it together. I went, oh my gosh, okay. Well,
Mhm.
so I sat down with my husband. I said to him, okay, how much do you believe in this? And he said, I totally believe in it. How much do you believe in it? I said, I believe in it. That's a lot of our financial assets going into what could or couldn't happen. And he said, well, I know you, you're going to get out there and sell it, and I'll help you.
Mhm.
And we'll go on tour and we'll get out there and people will know about it. So
Mhm.
again, still a little bit of resistance. So I said, well, let's just do a print run of 300, which is an expensive way of doing it. Anything under 1,000 print run is high ka-ching.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
letting people know that. Okay, so even if you outsource to China,
Mhm.
it's still high ka-ching.
Right.
Okay,
Mhm.
so we did it, but then again, I'm going, I don't want to have a garage full of Christmas giveaways,
Mhm. Yeah.
which I have seen, sadly, people do this. They don't realize that publishing a book, having a website, or putting it onto Amazon does not sell it.
Right.
You have to go out there and market it, sell it, and you have to do a lot of footwork.
Right. Mhm.
Okay, the foot soldier.
Right.
So we did kind of 300. At that time I was living in British Columbia, and by the time I got to Alberta, I had sold out,
Mhm.
which was absolutely wonderful. So then I did a print run of 500, still not totally sure.
Yeah.
And then by the time we finished the tour, which was a 9-month tour right out to Newfoundland, so it was basically west coast to east coast and back again,
Mhm.
I had print runs of 1,000 at a time. So all I would say is take it slowly.
Mhm.
You know, connect with your local retailers, your new age shops or whatever. Get a what I call a demo deck created and get a feedback
Mhm.
people before you commit to everything. Yes, a demo deck is going to cost you probably a couple of $100 to create.
Mhm.
Fun.
Mhm.
But that couple of $100, you go, no, we're not going to sell it, or you realize that your price point is way too high,
Mhm.
because that's another avenue that people don't realize. Yes, you can put it on your website and sell it, but if you're going to sell to a retailer, that's 40%
Mhm.
off. You're selling to a distributor, that's 60% off.
Mhm.
So you can see here, all of a sudden, your profit margin is coming down. So you've
Mhm.
got to make sure you're still making some money to
Mhm.
start with. Initially, you may make only a couple of bucks a deck.
Mhm.
So you have
Right.
to go, is it worth it?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So not trying to put people off. I'm certainly not trying to do that. But
Yeah.
the thing that I say to people is keep it real.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it real. Keep it in what you can do. Are you going to phone all these stores up? Are you going to contact all these people, send out demos?
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden it's a zero on your profit margin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've heard the same as for like if you're self-publishing a book or something, it's the majority of your work isn't in actually creating the book or the product, it's in marketing it and trying to sell it.
As I say to people, what hat am I wearing today?
Mm-hmm.
Am I wearing my psychic reader hat? Am I wearing my creator hat? Am I working my sales, my delivery, my
Mm-hmm.
printing, my finding another artist? You know,
And
you've
so
got to be.
sorry to interrupt, but here's the thing that I know a lot of people might be thinking, because I know a lot of people who are the kind of creative, intuitive types are totally turned off by marketing and doing all that kind of stuff and like selling themselves. Like a lot of people really struggle with that. So how did you make that, like when you put on that hat as marketer, how did you make it enjoyable for yourself?
Because it's my baby.
Mm-hmm.
It's my baby.
Yes.
It's part of me. I birthed it into the world, basically. Birthed it into the world. And now I want to make it happen. Just like any small child, when we're a parent,
Mm-hmm.
we want to do the best for our children. Okay, so we'll help them, we'll take them to classes, we'll help them with their projects, we'll be there behind them, pushing them sometimes or pulling them in the direction that they need to go. That's what you do, and that's what you have to be. And when you get the rejects or the person that doesn't like it, or the store that says, oh, this looks really amateurish. We were talking earlier about YouTube videos, and I got a really sort of snide comment about my weekly reading, sort of saying, oh, it looks very amateurish because you haven't got all the screens and stuff behind
Yeah.
you. You've just got to step back and have the shoulders to then go, okay, thank you for your feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, one day
Mm-hmm.
when I'm at that level, I'll have all these fancy. I'll have people to do my videos for me.
Yeah.
I'll just turn up the studio and somebody does it for me. But the reality is, this is my condominium I'm living in.
Right. Mm-hmm.
This is my studio.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I like to keep it real. It's about the quality of what I'm giving somebody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I get amazing feedback from people. I just feel so blessed,
Mm-hmm.
so blessed. Like for the one negative comment, I get 100
Mm-hmm.
positive.
That's lovely.
So that's
Yeah.
the thing, you're working for yourself because you don't have a team behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Is first of all, you need the support of your family,
Mm-hmm.
your friends, whoever.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you're doing it on your own.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Are you happy to do that on your own? And some people aren't. And it doesn't happen overnight. I launched the Vibrational Energy Oracle deck in 2013. Yes, I have distributors in Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. I'm still trying to get a distributor in the US. I have retail stores that have it there. I'm just fingers crossed working with somebody in the UK and Ireland to distribute to them for that area. It takes time. It takes research. People go, oh, it must be really lovely working for yourself. Well, I probably do a 24-hour day.
It's not as glamorous as it sounds, I guess.
I love it. I do love it. I get to meet some interesting people. I've traveled around the globe, Canada especially, I've traveled, and in the States and Australia and New Zealand. And I'm just blown away in the UK, just blown away with the support that people give me. And, keeps you marching on. But going back to, if you can't do all those things, then look for a publisher.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You've got Hay House. Be very wary of the Balboa packages that you're paying for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only going to say that with caution,
Mm-hmm.
because I've heard some not so great stories.
Okay.
So go and research who creates all these oracle decks around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Start doing your research. That's what I did. I went into New Age stores and looked at the backs of oracle decks and who was the publisher,
Mm-hmm.
and then started researching them and contacting them. And just to let you know, I was actually offered a publishing contract for the deck,
Yes. Okay. Yep.
and I looked at it and I went, is that what I'm going to get?
Right.
So,
Yes. Yeah. And for those of us, for those who are watching this, who are wondering what Balboa packages are, that's Hay House does a, it's like a
printing,
self-publishing sort of thing.
yes,
So it's through Hay House, but
yes.
it's basically self-publishing. So I believe they
That's
don't
right.
actually
It's
promote it.
vanity press. I try and explain to people it's vanity press. And yes, with it, I think they offer, I don't know, I did look into it a little while. I think they offer if you get picked up by Hay House,
Right.
then you become Hay House. And I think, yes, you get on the back of your deck or the back of your book, published by Balboa Press, Hay House. So some people like that as the kudos attached to it.
Hmm.
But it is vanity press, which vanity press means, I could self-publish my own book
Hmm.
like I did with my deck
Hmm.
and then give it out to friends.
Right.
There are publishing houses out there. Blue Angel in Australia. I'm trying to think of some of the others. Schiffer. There are some out there,
Hmm.
but a lot of them, you've got a lot of competition.
Hmm. Right.
You're not the only person presenting. So again, be real and be realistic. Don't send them a concept.
Hmm.
Send them some of the card images in a professional way, because that's the other side of things. Is yes, I had to, in fact, I had somebody pull together all the graphics, get them print ready,
Hmm.
and all those kind of things, because again, you can't quite do them on a little PDF file and throw them in and go to a printer, please print this for me. They have to have a certain format and so forth, and creating a box cover and all
Right.
of those kind of, there's a lot of other work. So yes, you're going to have to hire the services
Hmm.
of other people. Like I pay for my services of my artists, I pay for my graphic design, I pay for my printing.
Hmm.
So they're all
Right.
overheads.
Yes. Yeah.
And,
So
okay,
there's more overhead than I originally thought actually with creating your own deck.
yes,
So one thing that really intrigued me when I was listening to you talk about all of this is in the beginning you said that a lot of your inspiration came from spirit and the process of creating the deck you found was like a sort of like intuitive guidance that you got. So for a lot of people watching this right now, I think a lot of us know what that's like when we get intuitive guidance and when we feel kind of guided, but we don't always act on it or take that guidance seriously, or we
yeah.
don't always trust it. So, what advice would you have for those of us who want to um, use that guidance more in our day-to-day life and actually actually act on it more often?
I suppose the biggest thing is watch signs. I say to people, they don't come like a choir of angels with glory be to God with a banner above their
Mm-hmm.
heads. They come in subtleties that we have to have our heart, our eyes, and our ears open
Mm-hmm.
to receiving. And yes, there are messages that are given to us every single day if we're open to that. And everything I always say to people is it's intention, your intention with everything in life. So if you're getting a message from, you think, from spirit, go to the edge of the cliff and let go,
Mm-hmm.
use some logic there and go, maybe not.
Right.
That's not a good thing to do. But if it's saying to you, okay, you should do this, and it's safe. I always say to people, keep the safe piece in connection there. Then go with it. A lot of things that have happened in my life, the people I've met, the people I've connected with, have all been through a synchronicity of going somewhere to meet somebody
Mm-hmm.
that probably wasn't the person I was supposed to meet, but then they introduced me to somebody else that was the person I was supposed to meet.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Be receptive to that. And my husband now, is so funny because when somebody says, oh, you need to meet so and so, and he goes, yeah, I know, we have no idea why we're meeting them, but I know we've got to meet them, because that's how I work. I just go, okay, we have to go to this, or I got the sense that we should be here or do that, and then
Mm-hmm.
we arrive and we have no idea. We talk about clueless. We go in there, and then all of a sudden somebody come up and start talking to you, and after the fact it's like, okay, now I understand. And sometimes it's just as simple as just making a friendship,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
making that connection with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
As I say, it's not the of angels with the banner over their head, glory be to God.
Right. It's
It can
something more subtle than that.
It's
Yeah.
very, very subtle,
Yeah.
very, very subtle, and just being open to that, receptive to it. So if a friend calls you up, and this actually happened, I was talking to somebody that I had gone to a meeting with, and it was a talk, and this woman that was there, she said, she phoned me up this morning at 9:30 and said, put your glad rags on. We're going to this talk today. It's on blah, blah, blah. And just be ready, I'll be picking you up at noon.
Mm-hmm.
And so the person went with all of that, turned up at this meeting, met several other people
Mm-hmm.
that were great connections for her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and as she jokingly said, because we were talking about synchronicity and this kind of thing, and she said, that's exactly what happened this morning. I could have said, no, I just want to have a lay in bed kind of day. I don't want to go. She said, but the fact, and I said to the other gal, I said, so why did you call her? She said, I just knew she had to be here today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I find sometimes following your intuition and going with, going with the flow of things sometimes requires you to like step out of your comfort zone a little bit
Oh,
or a lot.
have to step out of your ego. I would say when I'm in my ego, I'm not in my best place.
Mm-hmm. Right.
When I'm in my heart center, like ego's head,
Mm-hmm.
it's up. It's all the things we get here, the mind chatter, the trolls, as I call it. When we go to our heart, it's the pure center of everything. It's our energy, our soul, our cellular level.
Mm-hmm.
When we go into our head, like this constant battle, mind chatter, trolls, whatever you like to call it,
Mm-hmm.
one fighting the other, and that's our ego.
Right.
Whereas our heart, it's our heart center, our soul.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, when I was going for the creation of the first deck, I kept going, no, I don't know anything about it. And coming back here, we want you to do this. Trust in us, we'll do this. We'll work with you. This is like finding the artist, putting it all together. Mm-hmm. That's when you leave this and you go straight into here each time.
Right.
I still go up in. I still go up in here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm human. I'm
Yeah.
not.
And I think we need to be in our heads sometimes to function in day-to-day living too,
Yes.
right? I mean, I don't think we can be in our heart space all the time. That would be in some ways kind of scary. I think the balance.
It's finding the balance. It's like, I connect in with my heart and then I connect in with my head. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
somebody tells me to go to a cliff and leap off, I'm going to go straight to my head and go, no. My heart
Right.
and go, do you really mean this?
Right.
It's, again, common sense is a lot of it.
Yeah.
Sadly, when we don't keep it real and grounded,
Mm-hmm.
then we lose sight of what's going on. We can get some marvelous messages, we can get some insights, we can get some fantastic things come towards us.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the time is not. I always say to people, the window of opportunity doesn't shut.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Spirit will usually give it to us 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Or they'll say, okay, goodbye.
Right. Yeah.
And usually when they say goodbye, they're still standing there. They're waiting for us.
Right.
I always say to people, Spirit are there for us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're that energy part of us that wants to help us, like the parent wants to help us, wants to encourage us, wants to make it happen for us. But as a child, we have to make those steps and fall off the bike once or twice first. Mm-hmm. And get hurt,
mm-hmm.
and then go, okay, maybe next time I'm going to put the little safety hat on and the little arm things on to protect myself, so if I fall next time, I'm going to have a little bit of protection.
Right, right. So I love that. I like that analogy, Debbie. So where can people find out more about you? Where can people find you?
My website, which is vibrational or little dash
Mm-hmm.
energy.com.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also on Facebook. I'm under Facebook as Debbie A. Anderson and Vibrational Energy and Vibrational Energy Oracle Decks. And I'm on Twitter and YouTube. I do a weekly, free weekly reading using, in fact, both decks. I've just been suggested to try using both decks for the reading. And that's once a week, and that's on YouTube, and that's under Debbie A. Anderson Vibrational Energy. So Yes, or just reach out to me,
Lovely.
on Facebook or on, I have a contact us form. I love hearing from people. I love getting the questions. I can't always give the answers. As I say to people, I'm not the source of all the knowledge. I'm only one of the little tools. Well, I always say to people, I'm just a tool. I am. We are. We're just funnels. We're just extensions of spirit. And so sometimes I don't have all the answers. So, but
So if someone
yeah,
wants
I'm
to,
approachable.
that's good to know. So if someone wants to
And
buy your deck, it's available on Amazon right now?
I don't sell on Amazon. I sell directly from my
Okay.
website. There are retailers in the US,
Yes.
Canada, Australia, New Zealand.
Mhm.
If you go to my website under shop, it'll
Mhm.
have the different countries and what stores actually sell the deck. I do say to people, please call the store first to make sure that they have it in stock.
Mhm.
I would hate you to take a drive out there and it's not here.
Right.
So there is a phone for the address of the store on it, or you can, come directly through me. And as I say, hopefully the UK and Ireland will be having the decks soon. Fingers crossed and all that kind of
Mhm.
jazz.
Wonderful. Well, I want to
Thank
say thank you so much, Debbie, for answering my questions and sharing about the deck creation process. I think that was it was really interesting to kind of get a behind the scenes look at what goes on, what goes into creating an oracle card deck. So I just want to say thank you so much for being so generous with your time and your knowledge and your wisdom with us today, Debbie.
I thank you, Kate, because somebody had, I think you were the very first person that reviewed my deck, and I was just so blown
Oh,
away. Oh, wonderful use of it. So I thank you for being you and doing the work that you do,
oh,
because without you, I wouldn't be sitting here talking.
oh, thank you so much, Debbie. That means a lot to me.
Well,
Thank you. Okay, so thanks everyone for watching, and you can find out if you're watching this on YouTube. I'm going to put the links to Debbie's website in the notes below the video, and if you're watching this on my website, I'm just going to post all that information on my website below the video. So I'm going to post a link to Debbie's website and more information about her upcoming deck. So thank you so much for watching.